successful ladies from both these organizations who will be talking to us today on how you can best balance, on practices of how you can best balance your business and personal finances. We have really curated this session and hope that we can keep it very interactive. So please feel free, to ask your question, engage, and just be active during the entire 1 hour that we have planned for you. Before I move on, and hand over the session to Nidhi and Neha, I would like to start with a brief description of CWE for all of you who have joined us for the first time today. So CWE is an online-offline platform where we work with women entrepreneurs to help them start up and scale up their businesses. We have a database of about 3,800 plus women pan-India, and we work with them closely to provide them access to finance, networks, business skills, mentorship, and technology support. We have 20 partners, both global and national partners on our board, and also 20 advisors and capitalists who help us together to deliver what we have planned for our women so beautifully, and help us just succeed in, helping these women start up and scale up. So today, thank you, Nidhi, and thank you, Neha, for doing this for our women today. And we are very excited to have you both and hear you guys over the next 1 hour. I'll quickly take the opportunity to introduce Nidhi and Neha both. So Nidhi Sachdeva is the head of distribution SALT and has over 18 years of experience in the financial and banking sector. Nidhi has worked in various verticals like wealth management and priority banking, and was last serving as the senior vice president and regional head West. Nidhi joined SALT with the mission of bridging the gap between finance and women, and she currently heads sales and distribution at SALT. Coming to Neha, Neha Singh is the founder of Womoneysta. Neha Singh has over 14 years of corporate experience in financial services and strategy consulting with companies like Standard Chartered Bank, Kotak Mahindra, Deloitte, and Make My Trip. Combining her passion with her knowledge and experience, Neha founded Womoneysta in 2020, a unique platform for educating and enabling women to manage their money matters. So over to you, Nidhi and Neha. Nidhi, we would also like to hear a little about, SALT, and Neha from you about Womoneysta, and, what are you guys doing with the respective organizations. And over to you guys to take this session ahead. For all our participants, please feel free to put your questions on the chat box. We will come to the Q&A at a later part, and we would like to start with, the questions put on the chat box. So during the session, any questions you guys have, please feel free to put it on the chat box, which we will take at the end of the session. Thank you so much. Over to you, Nidhi.
Thanks, Ayushri. Thank you everyone for joining us today this evening. I want to start by saying that, SALT is actually being built with the intention of giving women choices around money. And to be honest, I'm actually very delighted to see organizations like CWE taking that initiative and, trying to bridge this gap. We truly believe that there's a huge gender gap when it comes to money matters. Whether that gender gap exists in, right up to the capability to earn money. Capability is not an issue, but, the fact that women just don't put themselves out there, and it's very, very heartening to see, that there is a huge group of business entrepreneur women that are going out there and trying to rock it, as far as their businesses are concerned. And at SALT, we are also trying to empower and provide them with tools that help them plan their personal finances better. So the idea really is that, we all have goals in life. We also have goals towards which we want to build our future towards. And whether that be for a family or for yourself, what steps are we really taking in personal finances? So we're actually giving the action in your hand and trying to put you in the driver's seat. And before before you get your learner's license, we try to, really put you in the driver's seat and see, can we start driving already and get somewhere rather than just thinking about, oh, I want to do it someday. So that's the intention behind building Salt. And we have some three very solid founders. Shinjini Kumar. Shinjini actually used to be at RBI, senior executive at RBI for 16, 17 years. After that, she moved to being the Paytm CEO, and last she was the Citibank CEO. She's one of our main founders. And the one being this lady called Chaitra. She's the one who built Simple, SIMPL. I don't know how many of you here have heard of Simple, but since you're business owners, you might have. Buy now, pay later platform. And and that's what Chaitra built first, and now she's joined us on this mission of building Salt for first-time investors and with a women-first attitude. So I'll with that, I'll hand it over to Neha, and I'm sure as we go along, you'll discover more how we can help you specifically.
Thank you, Nidhi. Hi everyone, it's wonderful to see you all here today, especially being a long weekend here. At least I know I'm from Gurgaon, so most of us are in very holiday mode. So thank you all for joining in. I am the founder of Womoneysta, and primarily our vision is very much similar to what Salt is doing. We've started as enabling organization where we focus a lot on learning and one-on-one consultations to help women take charge of their money. Now, be this from a perspective of your personal finance, be this from a perspective of business finance, irrespective, I feel like having the right structure, the right knowledge can help you become much smarter when you're talking to people who are specialists in the area. This I say from personal experience. I've been on the other side. I've come from financial services, so I know exactly how complicated the world can be for someone who doesn't understand money very well. So that's what we're building at Womoneysta. And today's session is really, it's personally a very fulfilling session for me because I've moved from a corporate world to the business world. So when I was, curating the content here, I could really relate or resonate with a lot of things that I've put out today. And I hope that all of you are also at a stage where this, bifurcation between business and personal finance, so important, so critical, and so difficult to do sometimes. I hope that it resonates with you guys. Before we kind of take off, one of the things which I'd love to hear from everybody in the room, one is my request is please use the chat box extensively for the next 1 hour. And I would love to hear from you all. Where are you in your stage of your business? Is it like a very recent start? You've been doing this for many years. I'd love for you all to put that in the chat box. How long have you been a business owner? Before we get started.
If you don't want to put it out there, you can also just put us one-to-one messages in the chat.
Where it's
coming. We have started getting a few responses.
Ooh, I have someone who got 12 years of experience. So much to learn. Okay, keep going. So we have babies, like 6-month-old babies. I have 2 years, 1.5 years, 30 years.
Oh God. I think we can be learning from you.
I think Pushpa, I'm going to look at Pushpa and Maysoon. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Maysoon? Is that right? I'm going to look at you guys to give like affirmations on what we're saying. Yes? Awesome. Okay, so we have a decent range of experience here. And one of the first things that we thought we should kind of get started with, at least for the new ones, I'm sure the ones who've been around for a long time, I thought we'll start with a good news and a bad news, right? So I want you to tell me what you want to hear first, the good news or the bad news? You can even unmute and talk. It's a small group, so if you all want to just unmute and go for it. What do you want to know first? The good news or the bad news? I'm waiting to see how many of you are like me. So I have 2 bad news first. Nidhi, what do you want? Good, bad?
I think let's go with the bad news first so that we can get into the session with the bad vibes around us.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go with the bad news because I'm with the majority, and personally, I also agree. So research across the world, okay, suggests that pretty much a majority of businesses, including Indian startups, end up failing in the first 5 years. So all of you beyond 5 years, like too good. But why I'm sharing this is that one of the biggest reasons that whenever you will read any such research, any such study, realize that one of the big reasons why this happens is because cash flow or managing business finances can become a big issue for a lot of startups, for a lot of businesses. While they might have issues like product fit nahi hai, competition bahut ho gayi hai, but a huge reason is that you just run out of cash because you just were not able to manage your cash flows really well. The good news is that this is not something which is dependent on talent or it's like an innate thing. This is very much a skill that each one of us can acquire, learn, build on, and of course share while we are at it, right? While we're working together as a team here. So we will focus our energies in the next 1 hour trying to bring one component, one very small component of this entire ecosystem together, which is around the business and the personal finances. Right? How we've structured the session, very simply, we're going to start talking about what are these business personal finances, why do we need to keep them separate, some simple hacks on how you can keep them separate, and how can one start managing their business finances as a bilkul starting point. Okay. So I'm going to move it over to Nidhi. Nidhi, why don't we talk a little bit about, since you've come from corporate experience and a lot of this is personal finance for you, why don't you start from a place about what do you think about the business and personal finance difference? What is your view on that?
See, honestly, I always feel this, and that's the reason why I took this call. See, ultimately, you're the heroine of this picture, right? You're in the center. And if we put you in the center, then, and you look at what your resources are, right? And think about it this way, that your resources are time, the time that you're giving to build this business that you're currently doing, your relationships, both on personal and professional front. I'm sure you're utilizing those relationships and making sure that, you extract out of them, nurture them, grow them, give them the time so that if not today, then, 6 months down the line or a couple of years down the line, they're useful. All business owners do this. Skills, of course, you have the skill to do and passion to do probably whatever you are doing, whatever business you're running, and the money, right? Now, the money, when we say that money is a resource, unfortunately, most people don't look at money as a holistic resource uh, that can yield itself, right? Money can make money. So if you can actually plan, budget, and allocate around this resource, which you need to do for even time for that matter, if you can actually correctly, you know, plan and budget and allocate money, you'd be able to multiply it in a way that goes a long way. And honestly, from that, you know, what I would like to say is, हम लोग businesses क्यों चला रहे हैं? Why are we even running these businesses? I'm sure you're running these businesses because ultimately you want to extract some goal out of them, right? There's some personal goal from some. For some of you, it can, like I was in a corporate role for so long because it was mentally stimulating for me. It gave me not only something to do, but it helped me grow, it helped me learn, it helped me. Money really was like the least of my priority, at least. But then eventually, when money came, it never felt bad. When you're running your businesses, some of you are doing it to occupy yourself, to feel stimulated, to do something that you've always wanted to, and a lot of you are actually doing it to maybe run households, have run your aspirations about travel, kids education. So ultimate goal of whether it be your business money or your personal money is to achieve your personal future goals, right? So goal same hai, aap center mein ho. And the question here to ask is then, how do we differentiate this money between business money and personal money? And I think that's what Neha and I will cover in the next few slides, that not only differentiate, but how do we ensure that we are planning for both aspects, correctly, because ultimately dono linked hai, where you're running your business to achieve your personal goals, whatever they are, just whatever they are. Anybody who disagrees with me or has a story to say, or please share. It'll be great to hear. Any stories that you think, are you resonating with what I'm saying at least?
I do.
Yeah. Why don't you start then, Neha?
I think that I one thing which I am observed is that when you're doing your own business, sometimes it becomes extremely difficult to start. See, when you're salaried, I don't know how many of you here were ever salaried. If there was anybody, please write down yes, because I come from a salary shifted to a business kind of a background. So I'd love to hear if anyone else felt this way. That when you're salaried, personal finance is the only thing that you really worry about, right? पैसे आया, what do I do about it? मेरी saving है, इसको invest करेंगे, आगे ये goals है, and that's pretty much the story. When it's business money, now it becomes like a baby, like you're raising a kid. Okay, now how much you keep investing back in your business is almost like how much you'll invest in your kid. Sometimes you're like, theek hai, let's gift her something very lavish. Sometimes you're like, no, but this is a necessity for her. So the point I'm making is that it becomes a little bit more difficult. While I agree with you, Nidhi, that at the end of the day, a business, personally, I mean, my view on this is very clear. A business is not viable if I don't make any personal money from it.
So Neha, you said it becomes your baby, okay? And I'll interrupt you there, and I completely agree with you. But that's where the question arises, right? Sometimes a lot of people are chasing this dream about, because it's their baby. I mean, I'm talking about children actually, because your children, you are working so hard, 12 hours, 14 hours in jobs or businesses, because you have this dream of sending them to this Ivy League college, right? And for that, you need 3 crores, 5 crores, 7 crores, depending on which part of the world you're going in. So, you have this dream ki mujhe Ivy League college mein bhejna hai. So rather, if you actually invested your time in that child, and at the right time, that they probably can get scholarship, and that is the balance that one has to make, right? I mean, which side are you falling on? That's exactly what I'm saying, that ultimately your resources are limited. And how do you plan, budget, and allocate? Can you just keep putting one in one well and then not? Ultimately, goal kya hai? What is the ultimate goal? That's one thing that one has to remember. That's the point.
The ultimate goal is you cannot take away personal wealth from business wealth. That's my view on this. Whereas it can be very difficult to bifurcate. So moving forward, I'm sure like this is probably a great starting point. Many of you have might have already got your personal and business finances separate, but I thought let's start from the very basic. How do I differentiate? So let's talk about, say, Asha, a friend who runs her own boutique, and she also runs her household budget. She has an income which is coming out of her boutique, her online store. I'm going to throw out some expenses here, and it will be wonderful for all of you to use the chat box to tell me which one do you think are her business expenses and which one do you think are her personal expenses. Okay. So here are a list of things that she makes a payment for, and let's take 2 minutes to put it in the chat box. Out of these, which ones do you think are her business expenses? Please put that in the chat box. So I have payment to her tailor, I have dinner hosted for client, mobile phone, payment for groceries, payment given to her sister for some latest fabrics that she bought, a new laptop which she's bought. What do you think are her business expenses? Okay, so I have one. Pragati says the payment to tailor. Okay, let's keep going. Vandana is payment to tailor, dinner, laptop. Okay. Mobile phone is business. Dinner with client is business. Laptop, payment given to her sister-in-law, work, laptop. Lovely. What do you think are our personal expenses? Groceries, yes. Interesting. Grocery, gift, birthday party, wardrobe. Baby shopping, gift to Bhabhi. Awesome. So I've just put out something very, very simple, but the real part or the important part which I wanted to highlight is that when we're dealing with personal and business finances, there are areas which can be clearly business expenses, which you all were very, very quickly, you were able to tell me that, listen, see there, Asta has this question, which exactly is what I wanted to talk about, right? So there are some specific ones, easy ones, like payment to tailor is obviously a business expense. Payment for my own groceries is obviously a personal expense, right? That's no-brainer. But there are these expenses which start falling in this somewhere in between, right? So like Asta says, is phone, am I using this phone only for my work, or is this also going to be my personal expense? Am I going to use my laptop only for my work, or if I'm using it for personal expense, it's going to be a personal expense? Vehicle, right? If we bought a car, am I going to use this car only for my work, or is this going to be? So one of the interesting things or the important things is to start differentiating your expenses in two ways. Okay. The first way is to think of this expense when I'm trying to analyze my business. When I'm trying to analyze my business, I can very well, be a little bit more aggressive and say my entire phone bill I'm going to park as my business expense. Right? That's a decision I can take when I'm analyzing my business finances. The other way, which a lot of you had asked also in the questions that I'd received, is that, hey, listen, tell me, where do I get some tax benefits, right? Which are the places where I can use some of these personalish expenses and start getting a tax benefit out of it. Okay. So whichever is, of course, out of 100% personal, usko alag kar dete hain. ठीक है? I don't think यहाँ पे कोई confusion है. किसी को कोई confusion है in the bifurcation on the clearly personal and clearly business? Is that 100% clear? So for example, a gift is a gift, right? Even if it's taken from my business, I need to make sure I pay the business for it, right? This is my personal expense. No confusion on this, right? Yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down. I have a question. So I move forward fast. Clear? This bifurcation is clear, na? Clearly business, clearly personal. I'll come to that. So if I, for example, have something for my personal, whatever, planning, like I do a fancy thing for myself, dinner for myself, or massage for myself. Well, from a tax perspective, honestly, it's a lot of this stuff you can start parking towards like a business expense. Like if you're having a fancy dinner, you can park it as, keep those bills aside, call them as a business utility or a customer, a customer expense that you had to incur. A lot of this you can plan as business expenses. Seema says that, okay, maybe they have a agreement that we'll charge 75% of this to my business and 25% of this can be charged. So a lot of your tax specialists might also do that, just to make sure that you're not coming under the scanner, etc., etc. But practically, there are a lot of utilities which you can park under your business, including things like if I'm working from home, the rent that I'm paying, if I'm paying my cleaning lady, I can consider that as a business expense. If I'm paying my electricity bill, if I am even to the extent, sometimes you can also consider paying reasonable amount of salary. So for example, if my sister is a social media specialist, I'm going to hire a social media specialist. I can very well show that I pay her a salary, provided of course that she's, that is income for her as well, right? So those kind of tax hacks, see, I'm not going to talk about tax. This is not a tax session. So we'll not get into the details of it. But the larger picture I'm saying is, many times for your business analysis, you might not want to consider stuff that you're parking as a taxation just for the purpose of taxation. Do you understand the bifurcation of this? Because tax is for the government, business analysis is for me. My reality check कि actually मेरा business profitable है कि नहीं है, given the expenses that I'm paying on this business or doing on this business. One of the important things which I wanted to talk about was that assuming that a lot of us might be smaller businesses where we are at a point where our turnovers might be limited, or if we are working as a freelancer, our income right now is not above 50 lakhs. If you're in this space of your turnover being less than 2 crores, or as a professional, if you're earning less than 50 lakh, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with presumptive tax. Anyone in the room who is not familiar with presumptive tax? I can quickly run you over this. This is a very interesting, section that you all can consider. In case,
Definitely, I would like to know. I wasn't aware of this, please.
yeah, sure. So Vanita, there are, and this is very, very useful for, newer businesses, smaller growing businesses. So one part of it is that business chalana means a lot of bookkeeping, right? You need to make sure that paperwork is in order, statements ban rahe hain, etc., etc. Now, if I'm really small, the government says, listen, no need to maintain your books of accounts. It's just a good practice to have your receipts and everything in one place. But government is not requiring you to do any auditing or anybody. You not need to hire anybody for these books of accounts. And if your freelancing income is less than 50 lakhs, you can actually just put your income from business will be a flat 50% of your gross total receipts. So what you really want your tax expert to do is to give you, what do you do currently? I don't know how you all practice, but I can share what I do. Is that I send them my financial statements that this is what it looks like. This is my income. These are my expenses. And what I need them to do is to just do a comparison saying, does 50%, मतलब अगर मैंने साल में से 25 लाख 20 लाख कमाया, 50% of that means 10 lakh मेरी income हो गई flat, right? Vis-a-vis, if I was to say, okay, I have expenses worth 20 lakh कमाया, 15 lakh के मेरे expenses हैं, तो मेरी income बनी 5 lakh. This comparison your expert can do. But for you to get them to do this, you need to tell them, please presumptive tax की भी आप comparison करके मुझे बता. Many times, because we are not putting this forward, maybe, I don't know, but maybe sometimes it's not coming to you that you can file under this presumptive tax as well. If I am a small business, less than 2 crores of turnover, and I am receiving my payments primarily digitally, which means not in cash, anything else, through to my bank account, through UPI, the government has made it so, literally very effective for us. Only 6% of your total receipts will be counted as your income from business. Okay. So again, something where if you have a 1 crore kind of turnover, a very small amount, 6 lakhs odd will come out as your income. Now, after that, you put all your deductions and you can be very well tax-free. Presumptive tax is something wonderful. If you all have not considered or learned or spent time on it, I have limited time with all of you. I'd love to, do a deep dive on this with each one of you if you need to. But definitely go back, look at whether you have been suggested this or not, if you fall under this bracket. One important thing to note about this, the TNC, is that if you opt for presumptive tax, then you need to follow it for 5 years, right? And if you opt out before 5 years, then you can't opt back in. There is a moratorium period before which you can really opt back in. So really start when really when you're really young, it might be a very good option. As your business keeps growing, you want to see very carefully whether it's, it still remains viable. So that's a very small thing which I want to leave you with about presumptive tax. Any questions, doubts here? Happy to take the next 2-3 questions if you all have.
Neha, quickly, the salary paid to family members, what would that be? Because I have a team whom I pay salary, of course, but I'm curious to know about this family.
Like I said, sometimes, it's just a way of saving taxes. हम क्या जैसे इन्होंने example दिया कि my sister is say a social media content marketer, right? So I can say that, okay, I'm paying her salary. Right now, मैं शायद खुद ही कर रही हूँ social media. But I can show on paper that I'm giving her a salary of say 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees per month. And उससे मेरा expense बन जाता है. वो 10,000 per month becomes my expense. मतलब 1.2 lakhs का मुझे benefit मिल जाएगा. And उसको she will have to report it as her income.
Okay.
So I'm just giving like, these are the simple hacks which people sometimes use for taxation, right? Even they pay their salaries you pay to your maid if you work from home. It's almost like office mein, which you would have paid, right? For keeping the office clean.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
could
it
just
makes
show
sense.
it as that. Yeah, this is for keeping my office clean. So you can just claim that as well. So these are
Perfect.
like,
Thank you.
I'm sure if you have a tax person, they would try to do all this. If they're not, then just pull them up. Yaar, ye kharche bhi hain. Please डालो
Yeah.
इसमें.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think the important key point here is to be able to capture all these expenses and show to them that this is what it is.
Anyone else with questions?
Neha,
Yeah.
so I wanted to ask if you have a job and along with job, you are doing the freelancing, right? In that case, how is the taxation taken care of?
So job का वंदना job is salary income from salary.
Yeah.
Okay? And जो भी freelancing है that will also fall, that you also can claim under this presumptive tax thing, right? Because that is
Okay,
your
you
income from business or profession. अगर उसमें 50 लाख से कम की आपकी आ रही है freelance income, you can very well go under this 50% of so अगर आपने महीने साल में अगर 5 लाख रुपए कमा लिए for example, तो 2.5 lakhs इसको माना जाएगा as your income. So then the taxation just works salary plus your income from business, then your deductions and everything will get calculated. So the process is just, it's another header basically added to your.
So for this presumptive tax, we don't have to give any, जैसे कि आप अपने business में होते हो तो आप अपनी salaries दिखाते हो, सब कुछ करते हो, right? Those expenses are there, but here you don't have any expenses.
You don't have to maintain any books of accounts, but like I said, it's just good hygiene because the government, in case inquiry पड़ जाती है, तो 6 साल तक के पहले के पेपर मांग सकते हैं वो कि receipt दिखाओ ये वो. So it's just good hygiene to maintain your basic invoicing receipts, but no audited paperwork is required.
Okay.
I think you have another question there, Neha, that says that
Taxation here only applies to India, right? Yeah. Even if you're earning foreign income, but you're a resident Indian, you will have to pay tax here only. I mean, I'm talking about Indian tax. If I have a home business, then the rent paid for that house can, yes, it can be in India.
Sorry?
Yes, it can be.
Okay. Thank you, Neha.
All right. Gone off topic with tax. Tax is such a subject, na jitna bolo kam hai. But let's move forward. Beyond tax, also there's many things we want to cover. So one of the big reasons, and you all can feel free to share. However, how many of you have actually managed to separate your business and personal finances? Put it in the chat box. Yes. So here is what I thought helped me when I was doing this process personally. The first very important thing it did for me is my life became easier paperwork wise, right? At the end of the year, when you have to do your filing and all of that, and tracking ki payment kahan se aaya, kahan gaya, having these separate tracks makes sure that it's easy to just track progress. Business mein kya ho raha hai, meri personal life mein kya ho raha hai. The intermingling of your net worth doesn't happen. Okay, so that's like one super important thing. Super important. And I would suggest do it from day 0. I did it from day 6 months later, which was a bad idea. Okay. But I'm saying do it from day 0, my learning. It becomes a hassle as your business starts growing. Okay. Compliance, obvious one, like I just said, very important. And we'll talk a little bit about this. Future planning. What am I doing good? Is my business even viable? Right? Is my business even earning anything? Now, if you keep mixing up your personal खर्चा, मतलब भाभी को गिफ्ट दिया, वो भी मैंने काउंट नहीं किया कि चलो वो तो मेरे दिल से फीलिंग्स थी, all of that, तो धीरे धीरे क्या होगा ना, वो viability check नहीं हो पाएगा. And also the areas to improve. Where am I spending a lot? Which are the areas I can cut down on? Which are my profitable products? Which are my unprofitable? that whole process of business analysis totally gets lost if we don't do this bifurcation. And finally, I mean, definitely a big one on this, that once you do it, it's a little bit more professional. It comes across more professional to your clients, to the customer as well. Yeah. Few tips on how to get started. I'll be happy for you all to also share. So the ones who've done it, yes, I see some here. I don't know how you've done it, but if you followed something outside of this, please do share with me and the team as well. Here is the process which helped me get started. The first one was to create a separate bank account. I mean, no brainer here. Right? Have a separate space where you're only accounting for your business. Even if it is another savings account, it's okay. Sometimes you all are waiting, when should we register our business, current account khole, nahi khole, etc., etc. So my thought on this is, if you're too early in the game, you're still figuring this out, just to make sure the tracking is in order, open another one, which will become the one that you use for your payments and your receipts. Now, I had a few questions, how much personal saving, how much business? So my thought on this is, whenever you're starting your business, there will be two major sets of expenses that you'll plan for. Something called as a startup cost. How much will be that big one-time expense that I'll need to do? So if I'm going to say open a bakery, there would be some equipment I need to invest in, some basic inventory that I require, some marketing spends I'll have to do, some basic help that I'll need to have. So some startup costs I would have accounted for, right? And I would require some initial running expenses. Now, depending on the industry you're in and the kind of product or service you're offering, I would say at least keep anywhere between 6 to 12 months of running expenses parked in this account. If you're doing this personal finance, if you're funding, if you're bootstrapped, right, you're not going to get this. अब वो पैसा आप bootstrapping करके कर रहे हो या loan लेके कर रहे हो, that's the second question. But initial, you can start putting that much amount in this separate bank account. This helps you maintain your track record. And one very important thing which I learned again very late, but I started with a small amount, is to make sure that you're paying yourself a salary as well every month. चाहे वो बहुत छोटा amount है to start with. Why? Because this becomes your personal wealth and this other account becomes your business wealth. Sometimes people tell me, नहीं, business की जो भी net worth है वो मेरी net worth है. That's absolutely wrong. I mean, that's not right way of looking at it. Even if you're picking a small amount of salary, make a system to automate a small amount coming as your salary from business. And finally, depending on the scale, I typically tend to do this review every week. You can look at progress, doing a review of your business numbers, your payments, receipts on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. That is a system which can help you get started. Doubts, questions?
I'll just ask a question to the audience here.
Yeah.
Two questions actually. First is, why did Neha say that it is not correct that jo business ki net worth hai, wo meri net worth hai? Of course, it depends on the constitution of your company. And, you know, I'm sure each one of you here some will have partnerships, some will have sole proprietorship, and some will have LLPs or even private limiteds, but the company law for each one differs. But anything that comes to your mind, why is she saying that the business net worth is not necessarily your personal wealth? Anyone? चलो नेहा आप ही बता दो.
आने वाला है जवाब. So one of the big things that I have noticed, or my experience has been, that my business might owe a lot more money to people who I'm doing business with, right? If I am a team which I'm paying to, while it might look like I have so much money, but there is some liabilities that my business has to outsiders, and I am just one small hissa of my business, right? So I'm also like a resource to the business. If you don't start seeing yourself separate from the business, तो वो business कभी flourish करेगा ही नहीं. And secondly, कल को किसी और को आप उस business में ला नहीं पाओगे. So even if I'm thinking tomorrow that I have a co-founder, how much will be the takeaway for the co-founder? What is the share that this co-founder is going to get? Tomorrow, if there's an investor, what is going to be the net worth of the business for that investor, and what proportion are they going to get? So these all of this larger picture of becoming a company, it all starts from a small business stage only. There is not much difference in our thinking as a small business owner versus somebody who's raised funds or who's gone out and created a big company. So this is my thought on this. So I consider my personal wealth as the salary I take from my business, and the net worth or the value of my business is what it's built through the value that it's giving, including what I'm paying to other people as well. So that's my thought.
And I will also try and answer this
Go for it.
for as a banker, since I've been one for many years. When you're unless you're a sole proprietorship and intend to be that for many years to come and don't want to grow your business, but if your business entity is in any other form, then by law you and the business entity are two different entities, right? Even your bank account, agar aap dekhoge, the debit card or the credit card that you get, you actually get it in the name of the company, and then it says authorized signatory of so and so, right? So you are two different entities. Second, tomorrow, if you go to expand in any form, if you think of taking a loan, if you think of, expand in terms like Neha was saying, getting other partners, then at that stage, if you have not segregated your personal wealth and your business wealth, then it becomes very difficult to not let your personal wealth get attacked, because anybody, whether that be a bank, any lending institution, NBFC, or even a partner that's coming from outside, they would in fact want you to attach your personal wealth to the business wealth, because it makes it easier for them, right? It makes it easier or gives them more asset to eventually cling on if things don't go wrong and they have to recover your money. But it's in your interest to always separate the personal wealth and business wealth to make sure that they don't get attached. So sorry, I couldn't help the banker in me to say
No,
that.
I think that's absolutely very relevant. What do you all think? How many of us are agreeing, not agreeing? Samajh aa raha hai, nahi aa raha hai? I think Pushpa is totally with me. She's like, yeah, I get it.
Definitely.
All those years of experience, I'm feeling validation.
Pushpa ji is like, हाँ ये सही कुछ तो सही बोल रहे हैं लोग. I can see that expression.
I feel, as a matter of de-risking only this, we'll have to follow this. So I feel bad to even say that. No, we run the business with a passion and with the feeling that it is our business.
True.
But at the same time, when it comes to money, we need to think that, we are different, business is different. And, so we have to have both these views and keep going. And if this topic is over, then I would just ask some clarity on, you're saying create a system to pay yourself. What do you actually mean by that system? What do you mean? Like you have your personally you will have to employ, you mean that? Because most of the time we have to see the finance and then okay the payments and all that. So what is that system? Which
I have a very simple system, Pushpa ji. What I do is when I am putting out the payroll so the way my payroll goes to my team, I am part of the team.
Okay.
So a salary amount, which I have only decided at this point, basis, so it can be standard for your business. However, you might say, okay, every month I'm going to take out 5,000. You know your revenues best, or I will take out 10,000. Or for the next 6 months, I will not take anything. Whatever rule you want to create, I cannot create. I'll not give you a thumb rule. But what I've done is I've just automated the process. When the salaries are going for everybody, I will also get something. Just as a reward for the effort I put in.
Correct.
And to make sure my SIPs are going here, I mean, I have other goals as well, right? So,
okay.
That's what
our habit has been to take salaries with a sense of guilt only. Only when we make profit, we really feel that we should take something out of it. Otherwise, it has always been, take your salary last. But so I'm so happy to see this.
That's why we started with that first slide, that you are in the center of it, right? Yes. And ultimately you have your personal goals, and that's why you're even running the business. We actually started with that slide just to emphasize. And yes. And if we don't have time today, we're happy to do more sessions on how to actually get into this systematically. But today we just wanted to give you a flavor of where we are coming from a thought process perspective. Ankita, all I was saying was that I don't know if you've ever taken a loan from a bank, but even when you take something as simple as a home loan, right? they ask for a guarantor, they ask for a co-guarantor, they might ask for a personal guarantor. So the moment the banks or any lending institution, NBFC or anybody who's lending you money will always want you to attach more assets to what they're giving you loan on, right? So they will always insist on attaching your personal assets so that in case you default on the business loan, then they can go after your personal loan and recover money from you there, right? So they'll say the house that you're living in, or that if
Your
you,
investments that you might
your
have.
investments that you have, personal portfolio also, even bank accounts, personal bank accounts, right? They always insist on attaching that. And if you've not segregated this, if you have a very clear, I was taking this salary, or even if I was not taking a salary, I was paying dividend to myself, or I was taking profit share, whatever, in whatever form you are creating your personal wealth and segregating the expenses and the income separately very clearly, then you can say, no, this is mine. This has got nothing to do with this business. But if it's not segregated, then what I'm trying to say is सामने वाला तो हमेशा ये कोशिश करेगा कि आप attach करो personal assets. But it is your onus and ownership to not do that, right? Because if the business doesn't do well, that doesn't mean the end of life. Businesses तो होते हैं, खड़े होते हैं, cycle चलता है, दूसरा business कर लोगे आप, right? But you wouldn't want your personal
Bankrupt नहीं होना है.
yeah, life will not get interrupted. That's
what I think. मोटा हिसाब ये है कि अपने assets अलग हैं, बिजनेस के एसेट्स अलग हैं, एंड इसीलिए शुरू में ही वो एक बेसिक कैलकुलेशन करना बड़ा जरूरी होता है कि कितना मैं इसमें डालूंगी और कहाँ पे मैं बाय बाय बोल दूंगी. So this was a simple, I think, activity from a budgeting perspective, which we wanted to. In fact, I think maybe we can jump right into the budgeting piece demo, maybe, Nidhi, since we are running short on time.
Sure. I can actually, if you just go back one slide, Neha, I'll
Sure.
quickly cover why we are even doing this.
Go
So
for it.
how do we track this, right? We are saying hum itna bol rahe hain that you should keep them separate, keep your expenses separate. So of course, one very simplest way to do it is if you understand, if you know how to run Excel sheets, then do it in an Excel sheet, or even paper, or notebooks, etc. Of course, you don't have to get into detail of every small transaction, but largely you should know what are your business expenses, what are your personal expenses, what is your business income, what is your personal income, right? And of course, the one thing that I would like to show you is at Salt, we have built something called as a passbook. I'm sure you have all heard of the bank passbook. It's a tool where that can, you've all heard of the bank passbook, right? I'm sure Pushpa ji's heard of it, because पहले तो passbook ही आती थी बैंक में से.
हमने भी सुनी है यार, हम भी
हाँ, मतलब हमने तुमने इसलिए सुनी because हम बैंक में काम करते थे नेहा, so हमने इसलिए सुनी है. But I want to hear how many other people have heard of passbook, right? There used to be those notebooks where you could take it to the banker and the banker would stamp कि कितना पैसा आया, कितना debit हुआ, कितना.
गायत्री ने तो नहीं सुनी. Gayatri has young people below 22 years of age.
I actually have. I remember seeing my nanny's passbook. That's why I know what passbook.
नानी की तो सबने देखी है.
So great. So we've built something called as a passbook, and you don't have to worry about drowning yourself in Excel sheets. I'll quickly give you a demo of what it looks like. Will I be able to share my screen?
1 second. I'll just.
Kritika, can you give Nidhi the co-host rights that you will share?
Yeah, sure. I should just.
Ladies, I personally use this feature, and it's a really, it's a very interesting one. I think it's one of the best budgeting trackers available. So let's see if you all can use it. And it can actually help you work out this difference between personal, like just tag it as a personal expense or business expense.
Gayatri, do you want to try? I'm some reason I'm not able to share at all. It's giving me an error.
Yeah, I'm getting an error code too. Aishi, can you share could you give us the co-host rights, please?
Yeah,
Gayatri,
hi
should I
guys.
give it to you?
No, I think
No, I don't have it.
Nidhi can,
Yeah, Ayushi, I've given to Nidhi
yeah,
and
Nidhi, can you check now?
Yeah, let me just try. No, screen sharing failed to start. It's telling me.
Both Gayatri, you and Nidhi.
yeah,
are-
both Gayatri and Nidhi.
That's okay. Neha, do you have passbook access?
Not the one I can do a demo with, sorry. You both have the co-host thing. You're not able to share it?
No, it's giving me a error. Some error code 105035.
Wait, I can
Finally
check.
managed. Thank God. Okay. Okay. So can you just do control and minus Gayatri? Just do control minus. So your screen comes in one. Yeah. So basically, I just want to show you. If you see this upper wala tab, this shows your expense, income, investment, and saving, right? You see these rings, right? And these 4 rings basically represent your expense, your income, your savings, and your investments. The way we've created this tool is basically you can actually ideally either create 2 separate accounts, one for business and one for personal, or if business is what is difficult to track, you can create it for your business account on your email, or you can do tags, and I will show you how to do that. So let's say we estimated an expense for this month to be 250,000, right? Gayatri, just input where your estimates should be. Yeah. So if the estimate for this month is, let's say 250,000, that is what you're going to spend. Okay, let's go with 20. Kya ho raha hai bhai?
Yeah.
250,000. And what we are trying to do is basically we are trying to capture all the expense, income, investment, and saving in these rings so that we have a snapshot at the end of the month. Can you just go up and show them how the snapshot comes? So this is how you can get your, if you look at this dashboard on the top, there's a salt crystal here. And here is a month-wise report. So for example, right now we're looking at August. You can see it for any of the months for the year. You'll also be able to see this cumulatively for 2022 or 2021. But let's say I'm looking at August right now. And I'll show you how you start recording your expenses and how easy it is. I'll run through that very quickly. Go down just to resume past booking. Yeah. So here, let's say you want to just type 20,000 driver's salary personal. Just go. Yeah. Now what it's done is it's given you an expense. It's given you a salary payout. What you can do is you can also add one more tag here, edit this tag and add it to be personal expense, right? And that tag will get added here as a personal expense. Yeah. So this is personal. Now, automatically you saw it was as easy as WhatsApping. You're not going into any extensive Excel sheets. You're just typing in there 20,000 driver's salary. Now, let's say you want to put here 7,800 electricity bill business. right? Because intuitively, you know which expense is personal and which expense, just the recording of it, right? Now, the moment you do this, you will actually see it's again come as an expense. It's got classified as utility. It's got classified as a business expense. Okay, now just show them quickly the dashboard. I don't think we have too much time, so I'm going to quickly show the dashboard on the top. Yeah, and go down, show the analytics. Now, if you look at this, we can either look at it, we can categorize this because there are not too many logs that we've created right now. But if you look at the category view, you'll be able to categorize it as business, personal, the tags that we created. We can also look at, I think Gayatri hardly has any entries, so that's why it's only showing entertainment. But it would, you have more for July. Okay. Yeah. So for example, it will show you what is the subscriptions, what's beauty, wellness, eating out, salary payouts, and the tags that we created for business and personal, that also will, start showing up as business and personal. It also, this is something you'll be able to send printouts to or share on an email, the summaries of this with your CAs. So I think we really truly believe that it can help you both in your personal management as well as your business expense management, especially when you are doing both as a woman. You're managing the house and you're managing the business. And then there are expenses which get mishmashed over and you don't end up recording them too properly. And at the end of the year, jab CA पूछता है कि ये expense कहाँ गया या क्यों दिखाया था, or what happened to this money, most of the times you're not able to come. So I heard a lot of women here say we're only able to record it partially. We just wanted to quickly show you the demo. Of course, we can take it up in detail, or happy to answer anyone's questions in terms of how else can this be personalized to your use case. But ideally, this is an expense management tracker that comes very intuitively. It has an NLP, a natural language processor built in it. So you don't have to, you just have to write one word. Even if you just wrote, for example, 56 rupees, 56 vada pav, it'll pick it up as an eating out expense. So, you can sort of categorize your expenses and know exactly. And so the same way I showed you expense, even the income. Can you go back to those rings, Gayatri? Just go back to the rings. Even your income can actually be recorded like that. You don't even have to write income. If you were to just write dividend received 40,000, it's going to capture that as income. I'm not going to get into the demo again because we're really running short of time. Ideally, I would have loved to show you this in more detail, but I'm just trying to tell you that it's an expense tracker that can be used. Because we did this special tie-up with CWE, we can offer it to the CWE members without any cost, but usually we charge for these tools. But for you guys, we can work around the way that we offer it to you. So yeah, over to you, Neha. I tried to make it as quick. I hope I didn't confuse people.
Thanks, Nidhi, for that. Just a time check, Neha. We are almost at 6, and I see, we have already kept a lot of people waiting on a Friday evening. And so I was just thinking, what do you think, Neha? Should we speak about the workshops, that we have planned? And because a lot of people had additional questions, right, that maybe we could not really cater to in this session. So would you like to speak on those a little, and then, we can quickly plan those and roll those out too?
Sure. So I actually wanted to talk a little bit about those questions, but given the paucity of time, let me just, we wanted to discuss a little bit more around how you can start managing your business
or
finances.
If we can take another 10 minutes, if the participants are fine with
it. If you're okay, we'll take 10 minutes.
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. If we can, if everyone is okay, we can maybe take another 10 minutes. So do tell us a yes or a no on the chat, and we can.
Yes, ही काफी है. बाकी no assume कर लेंगे.
Yeah.
If there are some yeses, then at least we can take some time.
Okay, so let's do it. Yeah.
So one part of this whole business personal finance was about budgeting and how do I differentiate, how do I create the system. The second part, which I just wanted to give like a small primer introduction before we jump into the kind of workshops that we want to do, is to understand that there are some things which you're already doing, which are very similar to what you would do in a business, right? So planning for an emergency, budgeting, which Nidhi has just talked about, and also understanding your assets and liabilities. Quick way that we typically work personally. For our emergencies, we'll keep 6 months of household expenses as our emergency fund, right? Similarly, in our business, one of the first things, once you start generating revenues, is to start using that initial profit, that initial money, to come in and build this emergency fund. Because anytime things might go really downhill and you don't want to shut shop, right? Just because you didn't have an emergency or a crisis fund. And then you're seeking out loans and doing all of that stuff. The second thing is about budgeting. I think we've talked about it, and I will run you through a simple sample budgeting tracker, which I have personally used, and maybe some of you also use something similar, where you bifurcate between fixed and variable expenses for your business. And finally, assets and liabilities. What do I own and what do I owe? We do this in our personal life in the form of, hey, listen, I have a property, I have so much of investments, mera itna home loan hai, car loan hai, etc. Similarly, in business, we follow a very simple statement called a balance sheet, which will help us understand what are the assets which are actually going to help my business grow. Should I invest in this? Should I buy it? Should I lease it? Versus what are the people who are the people who I owe money to, or what are the kind of loans that I have taken, right? I had got this question from Ayushri where, someone from the audience had asked about how do I build a business budget? So I've just shared a simple format which I use, and I'm happy to take your inputs on this as well if you have any other system. So the first thing that you typically start with is building an estimated revenue. Put every possible revenue income stream, write down what you project, and then at the end of the month, do your actuals. If you want to do a weekly review, just keep adding this up weekly to get an actual number. From the expense side, there are three major headings that I look at, which is one is a fixed cost or a fixed expense. Now, fixed expenses irrespective of revenue. Revenue aaya nahi aaya, mujhe to kharcha karna hi karna hai, right? What are those kind of kharcha? Salary to deni hai, rent to dena hi hai, internet ka bill to bharna hi padega, stuff like that. That becomes your fixed expense. Variable costs. So what are the costs which are linked to my revenue? For example, if my revenues are growing, I can spend more on ads. If my revenues are growing, I can pay more commissions to my salespeople. But if my revenues stop, this variable cost goes down. One-time cost, website khadi karni hai, machine kharidni hai, equipment kharidna hai. Write down all those one-time costs. And finally, revenue minus all these total costs start becoming your profit. Now, few things which I just want to quickly leave you all with. When you're doing your basic budget forecasting, try to analyze at the end of the month what you projected, what was the reason you projected that particular revenue, what went well, what didn't go well, right? We are all learning. Business is work in progress all the time. Fixed cost. My big suggestion is at the beginning of your business, before you even start building revenues, keep your fixed costs really under watch. This is the place which you don't want to expand right up front, because this will stay with you. Dhanda ho ya na. Revenue aaya na aaya, fixed cost to deni hai. Variable. Simple rule of thumb. I am from the edtech business. So one of the rule of thumb which I follow is the customer acquisition cost versus the customer lifetime value. How much am I paying to acquire through my ads versus how much do I earn from my customer, right? There are some basic rules of thumb in each industry which one can start reading about and analyzing. Do a cost benefit analysis. If your variable costs are not giving you the kind of returns, rethink this. Rethink, pivot, what do you need to do? What are the kind of other things that you might enhance your revenue? Like I said, one-time costs, you want to figure out the best option. You might not want to make a heavy expense one time. You might want to lease something first, especially when it comes to equipment, etc. And finally, profitability. This question came 2-3 times. What would be the right time to break even? How much time should I persist? Honestly, it's a very, very personal thing. But if you want to go by some, practical thought process that I follow, look at industry standards, one, and try to keep working on a business model where your revenues at any given point are helping you generate at least 20 to 30% of a gross profit, because that's a fair figure for you to re-employ some money back into your business at the same time, stay afloat, right? That's my thought. But this would be very, very dependent on the industry you're in, the funding that you have, the scale that you imagine your business to be, Today, the business don't focus on profitability. A lot of them just focus on revenues. So all of that becomes very individualistic, but just sharing that the focus should be at the end of the day to build a revenue, profit positive business model. And any small business which is profit positive, I think that's the game, right? That's the end game that we all are looking at. I'm not going to get into this, but we have thought of a 2-day business finance session where if you want us to work with you with a more intense approach where we'll pick up, say, interpreting these financial statements, not from a perspective of taxation, but from a business analysis perspective, helping you all design something more practically for your own business, working with you on ratios which really matter, not the theoretical ones like looking at your profit margins, what kind of margin analysis you want to do on your products, services, what is a viable product or service to continue, what is not, along with some case studies. Ayushi, this is the kind of module that we had discussed, a 2-day module where we can set up something where we are doing little bit of concept and then backing it up with practical, which you will only work on with a Q&A that we can support you all with.
Yes.
So this is what we had in mind. With the paucity of time, I think I hope this added value to all of you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nidhi and Neha, for wonderfully conducting this session today. And I'm sure we saw a lot of, interactions over chat and a lot of interest to know more. I'm sure some people do feel that the time was still limited. And so as Neha just mentioned, we have planned another workshop. As many of you know how, we do these expert sessions, which are followed by these focused workshops. We keep the workshops to very small groups, say about just 10 to 15 of you, where we want to make sure that our speakers, our trainers can give you the required individual attention. So please do look out for the, dates and the registration details for this workshop that we will be announcing shortly. And do sign up and block your seats because we'll just keep like 10 to 15 seats only. So please do look out and follow us on all our social media channels. Kritika has put up the link of all the social media channels on the chat box for you guys. Thanks again, Nidhi and Neha. This was a very wonderful session and look forward to many more sessions together. And hope you guys had a good time interacting with our entrepreneurs too. And yes, before I close, I would just like to share about a very special program that we are launching, that actually not launching, we have been doing with Stanford Seed, Stanford University that is. And the program is called the Stanford Seed Spark program. Most of you must have heard about it and have been a part of the previous cohorts. We are launching cohort 5 now with Stanford Seed. And this is, so basically Seed Spark is a 5-month online entrepreneurship program designed for entrepreneurs running early stage businesses to build their strategy, grow their network, and ultimately boost their business acumen. So Seed Spark is offered by Stanford University, Stanford Institute for Innovation and Developing Economics, Stanford Seed, along with our Stanford Seed collaborators exclusive to their network entrepreneurs. So for CWE is the official women collaborators for Seed Spark, and currently we are accepting applications. And the applications close on 15th. So please do reach out to us if you are excited to attend this program. It has been a big success with all our entrepreneurs. Over 30 to 35 entrepreneurs have participated in the last 4 cohorts and have really benefited. And they have been from different stages. Some businesses might be just 2 years, and even 10-year businesses have really benefited from the program. The program is divided between expert sessions, peer huddles, networking, one-to-one mentoring, connects, and everything. So the program is for both men and women, but for CWE, we are referring only 10 women startups. So please do reach out to us. We still have about 2 seats left since we close the applications day after. So that's all. Thank you so much. All of you have a lovely weekend ahead. It's a long weekend, so happy weekend. And thank you again. The recording would be shared and put up on our YouTube channel. So please do have a look out for that. And yes, hope to see many of you on the workshops that we are planning ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
A short poll before we go. So Kritika, I'm just launching the poll. and people just tell us what you want, and we can, that just helps us plan our sessions more better.
Just a quick question, the SALT passbook, is it available on the Apple app yet, the iTunes?
Pooja, the app is not yet launched. So, what we gave you is a exclusive preview, but it is available on iPhone and any Apple device through a web app currently. And Gayatri actually just shared the link in the chat. It's available through the web app, and for now you can pin and make the bookmark on your, so that it comes on your first page on the apps. But another 1 month, the app will be out.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes. So Nidhi and Neha, we do see a lot of yes for our sessions and for the workshop too.
We had really limited time. I wish we could have spent more time with all of you, honestly.
Yes, but I think that gives us a scope to plan more sessions, right?
Absolutely.
And then,
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
and that
Looking
we'll
forward
just
to adding more value. Let us know. Keep us informed, Ayushri. We'll
sure, Nidhi. Let's plan ahead. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Lovely catching up. Bye-bye.
Bye.